My name is John Sway, and I will be the hearing officer for today's San Francisco Public Works hearing. Nathan Rodas is the clerk for today's hearing. This hearing is being recorded and will be available afterward through a link on the San Francisco Public Works website. If you'd like to receive information about the results of the hearing, please send a message to the email listed in the agenda online. Today's hearing is scheduled to consider two items. The first item is order number 207484 to consider an application, multiple applications for minor sidewalk encroachment permits for the following locations: 9 Joyce Street, 15 Joyce Street, and 20 Joyce Street. The applications are for new entry porches leading to public stairs encroaching into the unaccepted Joyce Street public right-of-way. The next item is order number 207486 to consider the Mission Rock project, 3rd Street and Mission Rock Street, final map PID 9443, modifications to order 203637 regarding LCCC monitoring plan and performance criteria. Subdivider of the Mission Rock project, 3rd Street and Mission Rock Street, submitted a request to modify order 203637 pertaining to the monitoring and performance criteria of the lightweight cellular concrete. Proposed amendments would replace the piezometer type for groundwater monitoring and amend leak detection criteria for pressurized utilities. This morning, we'll hear presentations and public comment on these items. No decisions will be made today. My recommendations will be forwarded to our Public Works Director, who will then make the final determinations herself. I will ask Public Works staff to speak first, then the project sponsor, followed by any public comment. Speakers' comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you're a member of the public who would like to speak, you can use Zoom's raise your hand feature if you're on the computer to put yourself in a queue to speak. If you are calling in on your phone, please dial *9 to let us know your hand is raised. When it's your turn to speak, we will call on you and you can press *6 to unmute. After all comments are completed, I will close the item. Okay, let's begin the hearing. The first item is general public comment. Members of the public may address the hearing officer on any matters that are within the department's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. Do we have any general public comment? Nathan, I don't see any do.
Sorry.
Do you see any general public comment? Anyone wishing to speak at this point?
I don't see anybody
Okay.
raise their hand.
Well, let's move on to the first item then, order number 207484. I now invite Public Works staff to present this item.
Good morning, everybody. Do you guys hear me okay?
Yes, I heard.
Okay. Good morning again. My name is Eric. I represent Public Works, Bureau of Street Use and Mapping, and I am processing various permits, encroachment permit and construction permit for this Joyce Street development project. I've got a presentation. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, I should be showing presenting right now. Is it going through?
Yes. Can you go to full screen so we can just see one slide at a time?
Sure. How's that?
It's still showing the slides on the side, but this will work if you can't figure it out.
Okay. I see the full screen on my side though. Maybe it's is it working now?
It still looks the same, but I think just go ahead. This is fine.
Okay, sure. Again, yep, we're here to discuss about the new entries. So 3 project addresses, 21 Joyce Street, 9 and 15 are going to be new entries to leading up to the existing city stairwell stairs. And 5 Joy Street is actually just going to be a recordation of an existing walkway that's already there. And the project sponsor will just be bringing up to current standards. But for the most part, it's existing. So as we see here, just the project site overview. We've got Joy Street right at the center. And Brewster on the west side and Holiday Avenue on the east side. Joy Street right now is unaccepted public right-of-way. So it is public right-of-way, but as we will see on the next slides, there isn't actually a street. It's just city stairs. So this picture, we're at the bottom of Holiday Avenue looking up. So the plot of land, undeveloped grass, is what would be 5 Joy. And Joy is actually here's the bottom of the stairs, and they lead up to Brewster. And the existing walkway is the one that we see here, the bottom right. For the most part, is going to stay in that same location. And now we'll go to the top of Joy Street, which is Brewster Street. Again, as we can see, it's just city stairs that lead down Joy Street. And there's no actual roadway that goes down there. Here we have a plan overview. This is the actual plans that were reviewed at DPW and other agencies within DPW. Here we have, Brewster is at the left-hand side and Holiday is on the right-hand side of this picture, just not being shown. As we see, these are the existing city stairs that are kind of zigzagging down towards Holiday Avenue. And we've got the new developments 21, 15, and 9. There will be constructing entries that connect to the existing stairs. There will be some modification to those stairs and the landing area, just so that it's going to be a smooth transition. This has been reviewed with Public Works, our disability access coordinator group. They've also taken part to review to make sure that it's going to be up to current codes and standards when those connections take place. So as we see these, they will vary in size, just depending on the various, wherever that city stairs was, that new construction has to kind of connect up to it. And here we are at the bottom of Holiday Avenue and Joy Street. We have Joy Street down here at the bottom of the hill. They will be constructing their frontage along with this existing walkway that lead up to the bottom of the Joy Street stairs. As with the standard practice of basically the new encroachments in the public right-of-way, there was a notification that was initially mailed out, and I received some concerns from the 150-foot radius. Those concerns were construction access for the neighbors. Of course, on the other side of the development, we've got existing homes that already connect to the city stairs. And some other concerns were potential damages to existing walkways impacting the neighbors. There was a level of coordination with the neighbors that the neighbors would have liked to have a more better coordination. There were some potential construction activities without permits, and potential damages to existing structures, what appears to be possibly the stairs, and some issues regarding potential damages to existing street trees, which, as we can see in the picture below, Joy Street is this row of trees that run from the top of Brewster and then running downhill to Holiday Avenue. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Just a quick question. Are any of those buildings under construction now?
Those buildings, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, those 3 buildings, 4 buildings are under construction.
Okay.
Excuse me, just a reminder, when you're presenting part of the panelists, please turn on your video.
No problem.
Thank you.
I would like to invite now the project sponsor to speak. Are they in attendance? Looks like someone's got a hand raised. Eric, do you know if the project sponsor is attending the meeting?
I believe Joe, I think Joe and Stephen are representing the project sponsor, and they've got their hands up.
Okay. So Nathan, can you unmute Joe and Stephen?
Hello,
Hi, Joe. Could you state your full name, please?
Joe O'Brien.
Thank you. You can now share any comments you want on the project or addressing any of the concerns that were raised.
Yeah, I think Stephen is going to speak first. I don't know if he's on it yet or not.
Let's unmute Stephen also.
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
So I'm the architect for the 4 houses. I'm sorry, now, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So I'm the architect for the 4 houses and also designed the entryways, excuse me, that connect up with the existing stairway. We made every attempt to not touch the existing stair because that would also trigger redesign of it. So we're going to be very careful to just build the new connecting portions up to it. The one change we'll make is cutting through the existing single bar guardrail to open up and connect to the existing stairs. So the stairways have all been designed very carefully to connect at landings and to traverse the topography with as little building as possible. So they're just concrete landings and steps, which did have to increase in size for the ADA requirements. Other than that, maybe Joe can speak to construction sequence, but I can give you briefly, we're going to contain everything within, let's say, our side of the half of the right-of-way, and really don't expect to connect or disturb any of the houses or their own walkways. Let's see, we'll be starting probably on 5 Joy, which doesn't require encroachment first, and then moving up to 21 Joy, constructing that entryway, and then moving down to 15 and then 9. I think all the issues that were brought up will be able to be addressed during the construction. And I don't know if Joe, if you want to address anything specifically about how construction will proceed. Or if you anyone has any questions, I can answer.
Thank you. I did just have a few questions. How will you ensure access to existing residents' homes is preserved or accommodated during the construction process?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the construction will all be occurring on the other side, not even involving the existing stair until we connect up and cut through the bar. So all pathways should be able to be maintained as they are to all the existing houses throughout the construction. There's one, the intermediate one, number 15, has some work, which is really PG&E, I think, in the right of way there that's closest to one of the walkways. But yeah, this should all be just like one day of disturbance at most for all the connections that need to be made.
Okay, and then will access on Holiday and Brewster be kept open during construction? Sounds like it's not affecting that larger pathway.
Right. And Joe, you can confirm that the path from Brewster all the way down through the stairs to all the houses and to Holiday should be kept open throughout. I guess at the bottom there, number 5, we're kind of repaving the sidewalk there. So there'll be 1 or 2 days where that, yeah, you may have to be blocked from coming up from Holiday or coming down from Brewster, you know, when the final pour of the sidewalk at the base of the last step is made. But I think even there, probably accommodations with a, you know, a wood ramp over it or something.
Okay, and do you imagine any of the construction affecting any trees, or do you need to take special tree protection measures for any of this work?
Oh, we definitely have been reviewed by Bureau of Street Use and Management extensively. The whole street has more trees than most streets have already, but we'll be, let's see, yeah, there's a tree protection plan in place for all the existing trees. And there'll be some removed closer to the frontage of the 3 houses, which just have to be moved to build the entryways. And then we're actually planting new trees to replace or to meet the requirements for new trees along the frontages. So there'll be plenty of trees. And we will be protecting all the trees
Okay.
that are going to be saved.
And can you describe any coordination that the project sponsor has done with the neighbors? Has there been any outreach from your side?
Let's see, I think we started this project in 2018 or 19, and I think there have been several changes of ownership since then. So maybe the owner can speak to this, but we did our initial outreach earlier and had review of the houses pretty thoroughly with planning department over a course of 1 or 2 years, and met with concerned neighbors that at that point, not everybody has voice and interest. There were, as there is now, 1 to 3 or 4 people who had questions. And those were mainly around the buildings themselves, the houses themselves.
Okay.
Joe, do you want to speak to during this construction phase? Any plan to connect with neighbors? It's not clear who the neighbors are who've shown an interest, so are we able to determine that? Or can they reach out?
Joe has his hand up.
So when we do the work, we're not going to impact any neighbors. Even when we do the bottom section for number 5, we're going to have temporary access set up. So if anyone goes up or goes down, there won't be a problem. And even when we do number 9, 15, and 21, the final piece of it will be taken down that bar, and it won't take more than maybe 1 hour per house. And we won't be doing them all together. So we're going to start with number 5, then 21, then maybe 9, and then 15, which could be about a month in between. So it won't impact anyone on the stairs going up and down.
Thank you. Okay, well, we can move on now to public comment. I do want to acknowledge that we did receive written comments from 3 residents for this item. And now we can call on the first speaker, Julia.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm Julia Weber. I live with my partner, Charles Feinberg, at 12 Joy Street. Just off the bat, the neighbors have been involved consistently. We've been living here since 2000. I really want to object to the notion that it's confusing who the neighbors are. There aren't that many houses on Joy Street, and I know at the very least 8, 10, 12, 18, 14, that's the majority of houses. All the houses that are impacted have weighed in at various times, and we've all provided our names, and we've all been, very available. There's a lot of consistency here, and it's a small community because we all have to negotiate, of course, managing the stairs. We're right in the middle there, and of course, are very supportive of the housing being completed as soon as possible. The pictures really are ancient that were shown. We've been living with construction for 3+, almost 4 years, I believe. I've lost track to some extent. And so we are very supportive of getting the houses completed, ensuring the entrances are completed appropriately. The issue really is, number one, there has been unpermitted construction already with respect to trying to deal with entrances, and that caused damage to the public right of way that did involve the stairs and the entrance to our house at 12 and to the home at 10. And we raised that concern initially and continue to raise that concern up until today. And we've received no response from Joe about repairing it. And so what we want to include in this permit is that existing damage to the concrete and the public right of way will be fixed. The Rains especially are pointing out how poorly they tried to attempt to cover up the damage that was done, as rain is pooling on the so-called repairs that they completed to the entryways to our home, which are on the public right of way. So we want to ensure that any damage done to the public right of way as part of this construction prospectively will be taken care of and brought up to the standard that has been there before, and that the damage that was done previously will be corrected. There's been no mention of tree removal. The damage has been done to several trees. The preventative measures were put in place after neighbors complained and had to get involved. They rammed various construction equipment into the trees. So that's a whole separate conversation. We know that consistently there have been problems. Construction crews attempted to steal water from our front spigot, and I had to go out there and intervene in that case.
1 minute, Julia.
Thank you. So we know that consistently this whole project has involved unpermitted illegal activity. There's extensive construction debris in front of 8, for example, with caution tape and uncovered up holes on the public right of way. There are children playing there and running into nails. It's a mess. Downstairs at Holiday is a mess. So we just don't have a lot of confidence and want to have built into this permit that they will clean up, fix the damage, and do no further damage to the public right of way. And of course, not interfere with entrance. We have no way to get in and out of our homes, even temporarily in case of emergency or just to live our lives, if they prevent access. And they've known this from the beginning when they chose to build homes in this area. So please,
Thank you.
we want you to ensure that that's in the permit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia. And our next speaker, Ramel. Apologize if I'm saying your name incorrectly.
Hi there. Would it be possible for me to share screen?
Nathan, can you?
Yeah, I noticed on the notice that we would be allowed to do that. So
Yeah, give me a sec. You should be able to now. Go ahead.
okay, thank you. Let me share really quick. Okay, can everyone see?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so good morning, everybody. My name is Ramel Panglau. I'm the homeowner at 10 Joy Street. I wanted to thank everyone for their time. I wanted to thank staff for their presentation and also Supervisor Ronin's staff for meeting with us on site. Talking quickly about communications with us as the neighbors, the developer was unresponsive regarding this specific issue. And I think our preference overall was to resolve this without this hearing, but here we are. So the issues today have mostly been touched on: access, pre-existing damage, and trees. Just quickly regarding access, I think most of this has been discussed, but initially when I saw these plans, I was thinking there would be some sort of erosion control plan or site logistics plan that would outline how our access would not be impacted. So my request would be that we have a condition stating that access to Brewster and Holiday and private property be maintained at all times. I know there was some talk about how when when the concrete needs to be poured and so forth, that there might be some blockage. We could possibly also condition that those accommodations or that temporary access should be there. Regarding damage, Julia touched upon this well. Let me show here. So there was unpermitted work that damaged the entry walkways located in the public right-of-way at 10 and 12. This has been unresolved for over 2 years and should be resolved within the scope of this encroachment permit. I would say there's a direct nexus between the current scope
If
of
you're
work.
trying to show an image, the image hasn't shifted on the screen. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Yeah. So there's a nexus between this current scope of work and the repair of pre-existing damage. I would think that for Public Works to issue this permit on additional work in the right-of-way should require the resolution of damage that was previously done. So this is in front of my walkway at 10 Joy Street. You can see here, this is what it looks like when it's not raining. We've got compacted soil, this piece of plywood, and this has been here for over 2 years. Basically, since I purchased this home, it was already like this. And then you can see what happened during our heavy rains. We have this puddle here. It'd be preferable not to have this. At 12 Joy, they had the substandard concrete patch put in. You can see that it doesn't meet the quality or standard of the concrete around it. And so that should match. I would propose that these repairs be included on the plans for this scope of work and conditioned within the permit. That way the repairs are properly inspected and up to city standard. And I know it was touched upon that there would be no damage to any of the existing, I guess, the stairs as it is, but I would still think there should be a condition that any damage to the existing walkways caused by the proposed work should be restored to city standard.
And you have 1 more minute.
Okay, thank you. I would say that we have trust issues on this block when it comes to this developer, and so having these conditions would, at least we have it in writing. And finally, the trees, as Julia mentioned, a lot of the tree protection was put in after the fact, after all the root damage was done and the ramming of the trunk was done. It would be ideal to have a condition ensuring that the Bureau of Urban Forestry, do their due diligence and ensure that all the tree protection's in place. Because as I'm looking out my window, some of the tree protection has been essentially shifted since it was put in place and since the Bureau of Urban Forestry came out and inspected. That is all I have, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment? Okay, Maurice. Maurice, please go ahead.
I'm speaking. Can you all hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Maurice Tuiasosopo Bell. I live at 8 Joy Street. We moved in December 1st, 2022. I can't speak to the overall process, but I do know that this construction has been going on for some time based on what was shared with me with the previous neighbors. I am the youngest member of the Joy Street community in terms of tenure in the community, being here for only a year. What I can say is when we were making the decision to purchase the house, it was communicated to us that this was something that was kind of nearly complete and would be done in months' time. And so obviously we're here a year later and the work is still not done. And I can also speak that I have 3 children, and I am mostly concerned and want to echo and reinforce the request made already. Like, I just want to make sure that things are put back into a proper state. We have like a water line or something that was needed to be accessed. That happened like literally the month we were moving in. They were digging up a water line, and that has not been repaired or put back into its final space. I don't know if there's a need for that or not, but there wasn't any communication on like when this might be happening. But my whole front yard is ripped up and still has a caution tape that's now tattered because it's just been there since they first did it. And we haven't had our home in like a final state yet because of all the work that's happened. I've had an opportunity to connect with Joe. Joe is a good man, and I appreciate the conversations we've had informally. And I do know, and I want to also echo, and so I feel a little more encouraged in my ability to communicate with Joe. And Joe, if you're open, us having direct access to be able to communicate challenges with you. But also, like, this thing is just taking too long. I think it's a mix between the contractors being able to expedite and do the work and do it diligently and thoroughly, and whatever else they're running into from a roadblock standpoint. All that needs to be worked out. I think it's ridiculous that this has gone on for this long. And I feel like I was sold a bill of goods that's not meeting my expectation in terms of this being completed and we can actually have the home that we expected. Final things I said, I have kids. They've brought me nails. There was a razor blade. I have now, and Joe knows this because he helped me the other day, I've now ran over 4 nails. I have one in my, Joe, on the other side, the other tire. I got another nail earlier this week. And
Maurice, thank you that your time is up.
Just needs to be cleaned up and fixed. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment on this item? Nathan, are you seeing any? Please raise your hand or unmute if you would like to speak on this item and have not spoken. Okay, I don't see anybody, Nathan, but I can't see the full list anymore.
No, no one's raised
Okay.
their hand anymore, so
I do have a question for Joe. He's still here. Joe, what is your response to the concerns about repairs?
Well, we were waiting.
Construction?
We have to plant, about how many trees do we have?
7.
We have to put in 7 trees. We still have 2 more to take out. We were going to do everything together. That concrete we put in was temporary. I didn't know it was going to take this long to get a permit. I thought we'd have this wrapped up more than 2 years ago. So as soon as we get a permit, we'll have everything wrapped up. I'd say maximum it'll take is about 4 to 5 months.
Okay, so are you saying your plan is to do some concrete repairs?
We will finish everything. We've landscaping to do. We've all that kind of stuff. The concrete repairs, everything will be done at the same time because you have to get a pump and concrete, and we want to hit everything so we're not affecting the neighbors going up and down.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, well, I think we received all public comment on that. Please, if you're welcome to email any additional comments to Public Works staff, Eric Lamb. And now we will move on to the next item. This is, let's see, order number 207486 for the Mission Rock project. And I would like to invite Public Works staff Shauna Gates to speak.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay. Can you see the presentation okay?
Yes, we see it.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Shauna Gates. I work with the Infrastructure Task Force as part of Public Works. And this morning I'll be presenting on Mission Rock Phase 1, a request to revise an existing order number 203637 regarding a monitoring plan and performance criteria for LCC infrastructure, which I will define in subsequent slides. So just to give a quick background on the project, this is the location of the project. Mission Rock is here on the east side of the city, just south of Oracle Park on the other side of the creek there. Here is a phasing plan for the Mission Rock development. So we're currently phase 1 or phase 1A rather is currently under construction. That is the area shaded here in green. It's contemplated that the project would be phased in 4 phases as shown here in the graphic. So here's a typical street section for the Mission Rock project. We are using a non-standard or unique material within streets as shown in highlighted in orange here. We're using a material called lightweight cellular concrete. So the project proposed this material to mitigate against potential settlement for streets in the future. We are also raising streets in this development area 4 to 5 feet to mitigate for future sea level rise. And so the intention of the use of this material is that it is not as dense or as heavy as native soil. So it will help hold streets up better than the heavier materials that could cause settlement in the future. So there's an existing order 203637. It was approved in September of 2020. It authorizes the use of lightweight cellular concrete or LCC in just phase 1A of the project. And it approves a monitoring plan and performance criteria. As I mentioned before, it's a non-standard material, so the city is interested in making sure that we perform, or that the subdivider performs continuous monitoring of the streets and utilities to ensure that we're not seeing settlement and that the product behaves as is intended. So there's an exhibit attached to this existing order that sets parameters for ground settlement, which is in the downward direction, or heave, which is in the upward direction. It monitors groundwater level and uplift pressures. It also has specific monitoring for gravity and pressurized utilities, such as storm drain and sewer lines, low pressure and auxiliary water supply systems. So there's 2 proposed revisions to this order. One changes a piezometer type from a multi-point to a standpipe with vibrating wire piezometer. So at the bottom of this slide, you'll see this is actually a red line or a document showing exactly what's being proposed to be changed from the existing exhibit attached to the approved order. You'll see here that we're proposing this change of piezometer type. So a piezometer measures groundwater levels, including tidal and stormwater influence. So the intention is to verify that the groundwater level that we anticipated during the design of the project is consistent with what we're seeing post-construction. At the beginning of the project, a multi-point piezometer was proposed because there was a different design of the LCC that made it helpful for us to understand if there was water with the groundwater level within the lightweight cellular concrete. However, that material is now a closed cell, and so there's not a need to monitor for groundwater within the LCC section. So the piezometer type is essentially now only monitoring groundwater beneath the LCC, which is at the bottom of those orange sections, as I previously showed in the exhibit. In the typical street section. So the same measurements for groundwater level below the LCC will be performed as we change this type of equipment. And then a second revision to the exhibit. pertains to changes in the low pressure water performance. So it replaces language for leak detection for the pressurized utilities to essentially defer to SFPUC's leak detection crew. It removes a requirement for monitoring caps on low pressure water hydrants. And then these changes were reviewed and approved by the SFPUC City Distribution Division, or CDD, who will be the future owner of these low pressure assets. The original order will otherwise remain unchanged. And if these changes are approved, we would issue a new order that would supersede the previous order. And that's all for my presentation. I'll take
Thank
any
you.
questions.
Thank you, Shauna. I'd like to make space for the project sponsor if they're in attendance to make any comments. Do you know, Shauna, if anyone's here? Oh,
We
Julian.
do, yeah, we
Yeah.
have Antonio Martinez and Julian Pancoast who are representing the subdivider. I'm not sure if they've anything to add. Perhaps we could see if there's any public comment. Oh, Julian does have his hand raised, so we'll let him speak.
Can you all hear me?
Hi, Julian.
Yes.
Hi. I don't actually have anything to add. Wanted to just thank Shauna for her presentation, which I think captured everything, but happy to answer any questions if there are any for us.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item? I don't know if anyone else is in attendance at the meeting other than us at this point. Nathan, do you see any?
No one's raising their hands.
Okay. Well, if there are no more public comments, I can now close the hearing. The hearing is now closed. Thank you, everyone, for participating. And have a great day.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nathan.